This is Michael J. Payton here with Esosa Osa, founder of the Onyx Impact. Welcome to Kicks and Clickbait, y'all. This is our first episode, pilot episode. We're gonna see what happens. If we get canceled after the first episode, then I blame me. Just blame me. um, Esosa, please introduce yourself to the two people out there who don't know who you are.
Okay, I will introduce myself to the many, many, many people who don't know who I am. Esosa Osa. I am the founder and CEO of Onyx Impact. We're an organization that researches Black online conversations, informations, and we work to make sure that Black communities get access to the best, most reliable information possible.
Yes, yes. So we are here today because, Sosa, you've been out there really beating the drum on like this mis and disinformation campaign that's going on against Black folks, especially in online spaces. And, we really want to bring it to the people and like let them know how they can be, aware of what's happening, what's going on, and equip themselves with the tools to fight this and misinformation out there. And you and the Onyx team have created this amazing, amazing resource called the Digital Green Book, along with the Black Chat GPT, as we calling it, Aisha, that
That's
is
right.
is actually helping us understand like how to combat some of this misinformation out there. So just to give the audience some context of like why we're doing this podcast and this whole thing. One, Esosa, we know you. Well, those who don't know, Esosa is a massive, massive sneakerhead. Who like her game is incredible, and so we wanted to have some fun, right? Because like we know that right now it's a lot of you know hurt out there. A lot of people are feeling kind of let down by the last election and everything that's going on in our crazy, crazy world under this new administration and so forth. But we want to bring some joy. That's why we're calling it Kicks and Clickbait, because we want to, bring in the sneaker culture as well as, talk to y'all about what's really going on. So I guess, Asosa, tell us, before we get into the serious stuff, like, how did you even get into like sneaker culture? Why are you such a sneakerhead?
You know, I think it just comes from my just broader love of sports and basketball in particular. I play basketball for so long in my life. And sneakers were such a big part of that. And you know, I think now we're just where I'm in a situation where I've spent entirely too much of my income on sneakers at this point. I spent way too much of my time and income on sneakers at this point to stop now.
So why not just keep on going, right? So let's
100%. Like on like at a certain point, here's like I used to work in finance, and so this is a very important aspect of why uh, buying sneakers makes more sense, right? Because at this point, if you've already spent, X amount of money on sneakers, we're now just talking about the margins,
Mhm.
right? Every new sneaker on the margin, how much money are you really spending relative to your overall sneaker collection? And so, before I click buy or before I click, on that sneakers app, it's on the margin. It's probably fine.
Let me ask you, were you like, I know now everyone has like the app and everything, and you can like get drops when they, come out, but like were you ever the one to like stand in line and like wait all night until like the new drop comes out like physically in stores, or is that were you are
Absolutely, absolutely not. My Nigerian parents would never allow that to transpire. If I was up late at night, it was for homework. But I was able to. I remember the first time that they actually let me get a cool pair of sneakers. I got the my like the Air Force Ones, right? Like the iconic. Who doesn't have a pair of forces? And I remember feeling so cool in middle school, um, wearing those, trying to, oh my gosh, the struggles of trying to keep those things white. Like using whiteout, using whatever,
Oh my
anything.
god.
That's embarrassing. I
Did
should
you use
not
a
say.
toothbrush? Did you use a toothbrush?
Oh my gosh, multiple toothbrushes, right?
Like, I have a
Uh,
whole pack of toothbrushes just for my Air Forces, but
like, give me two per. Like, when did Nellyville, right? Nellyville,
that was 2002.
2002.
2002, yep.
I was 12 years old when Nellyville came out. Um, Midwest, uh, uh, St. Louis, like I could not get enough. I mean, honestly, great album,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Dilemma,
I
what have
love that
you.
album.
But that's what that
Her.
that's when I was like, oh, I've got to
Yep,
these are cool folks. They're in the Midwest. They're talking about all this stuff.
yep.
Um, uh, and so that's like part of why I think actually there was a hilarious. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I was raised in Dayton, Ohio. They had this hilarious line in there that was like, they all purpose,
It's
you
like
heard them
the
kind of like
80s.
my Dayton's.
Yep.
And I didn't know what Dayton shoes were, or Dayton leather, Dayton shoes. So I just thought that they were talking about Dayton, Ohio, which made it
Right.
even cooler to to have, uh, you know, just FYI they were not. But it made it even cooler to have forces in the beginning. So
No, it
not,
definitely.
nothing I love more than a nice clean pair of forces.
No, that's I think we might have been the same age around that time. That song is what got me even like aware that sneakers were important. Unfortunately, like, we were just too poor to even to buy me the Air Forces, so I just like forget it. But I remember my first pair of like design or like hype shoes or whatever were the Allen Iverson threes. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, those were fire. The black and gray with the little three in the in the little circle or whatever, or the AI in that. Those were my first introduction into like buying sneakers. I remember like hounding my mom like to spend like every like penny that she had left to buy me these sneakers, and it was like I would still have them if like I think someone stole them or something. But what were those Air Force? Was that like your first foray into the sneaker culture, or like what was
Oh
the
yeah,
first?
yeah. The laces, the whole, and I think for a while I um kind of stopped buying them so as frequently, but I'd say about 5 7 years ago I started up again, and now I have my own income and nobody can tell me not to.
Can't tell you nothing. Can't tell you
That's
nothing. My money.
one of the
My
best
money.
parts about being an adult is being able to buy all the sneakers that you couldn't buy when
A
you
hundred,
were when you were a kid. So
100%. I got stuck on the Air Forces thing. So I swear in my closet, I have about I probably have like six pairs of white Air Forces for no reason. Because once they get dirty, I'm like I can't. Once they get scuffed up, I gotta buy a new pair and a new pair and a new. So it's ridiculous. I probably should be in therapy
that
or
must be
something.
so hard for you, that struggle.
It's very tough. It's very tough. It's a, like I said, I'm seeking therapy. BetterHelp is actually on my phone now. But you know what makes me even more mad, Sosa, is that now, did you see that Nike is releasing like this like scuffed
I
up
don't.
version of
I've actually done it. I don't even want to. Yes, I've seen it. The reverse, the dirty
it?
forces that become cleaner.
They become
I
clean. I'm like, what? You know
I
how much?
consider that late stage capitalism.
Oh, a hundred percent.
I don't even know what that. I think that that is indicative of just wealth being broken.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the Balenciaga stuff where like they're doing like the chip bags. I'm like, do we need this? Like, this is like y'all. This is what we run out of ideas. This is what we're doing, y'all. Like, nah. And so now, but at least now, when I pull out my dirty Air Forces in the closet,
Oh,
I don't
you're
put
gonna be
them
like,
back. No, this is
this is
just
chic.
style. Yeah,
This is
this is just
chic,
style.
100%.
Yeah,
This is what the kids
yeah.
are doing.
They probably thought I paid like 500 for them, or more. Um, no, this is good. So let's walk us through, since we're talking about sneakers. See that segue I just did? See that segue?
I
Walk us
walk us
through
through.
your journey from becoming, from playing sports and all that stuff to how did you get, I guess how we get here. How do we arrive to you being a Sosa Osa, the Onyx Impact, the like we obviously we know from everything that's been going on the last decade, all the misinformation and disinformation campaigns that have been going on. But like, how did you get to this place? Like, where did your journey? Where did those sneakers
Will the
walk you
sneakers
to
take me?
this? Yes. That was a
You
horrible
know,
segment, by the way, but we'll work on episode two.
100%. We'll get I think a sneaker specific segue for
Yes.
um each new piece. I think it makes a ton of
Yes.
sense. So
Yes.
I like I said, I was raised in Dayton, Ohio. I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, raised in Dayton, Ohio. Uh, I went to school in North Carolina, worked in finance, all this type of stuff. I ended up, we can talk about my whole journey, but long story short, I drove to Georgia with no job in 2018, started knocking doors for Stacey Abrams. And uh, before I, after a while, I got a job on the campaign, helped to start the voting rights organization Fair Fight, and, you know, help build out that team, that research team, especially. And when it came down to 2019, 2020, 2021, you could not talk about voting without talking about mis and disinformation. They were so integral. There was so much noise, so many kind of lies being spread about voting, that it became really necessary from a civic engagement perspective to just understand how this entire uh, information war would operate, and how it would affect civic engagement. Like, that's what we always see, no matter what country we're talking about, is like the more disinformation you push into a community, uh, uh, the less civic engagement that you see. And so uh, started working with to combat disinformation there, and eventually realized that this was just not something that folks were trying to fight in Black communities. I think we see so often in research, like, Black folks are like the last people that uh, uh, researchers find a need to help to understand what's going on. There's a fundamental lack of curiosity around um, Black communities, Black voters, what have you, and research writ large. And so, I was surprised to learn that there were a lot of efforts at researching how disinformation were affecting a ton of communities, but nothing about Black folks. And so started Onyx Impact to help try to combat that.
It's fascinating. Did you see in 2018 when you were working with Stacy back then, like where how did this and misinformation affect that campaign at all? Particularly targeting Black folks. I know it was a lot of stuff that was going out there, but like, how did you see anything from that ground level kind of impacting the election at that point?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, there that election, one of the rallying points was around voter suppression, and how it this was something that was impacting Black communities in Georgia most aggressively. And I think that you know what we end up seeing was a ton of, especially misinformation in that cycle. Like, um, can I vote? How do I vote? Was my vote counted? Um, people receiving incorrect information, making it hard for folks to have their ballot counted, and people being, there's a lot of fear spread uh, uh, because of folks thinking that they weren't going to have their ballot counted. I remember being on uh, voter protection lines, at one point we were all on them daily at the end, and having an older lady from South Georgia call and to see if her ballot was counted, and she talked about having that she went to the polling booth with her driver's license, her deed for her house, her birth certificate, um, like all of these materials, and then she was initially told that she couldn't vote, eventually told that she could, and unfortunately, when we helped look up her ballot, we couldn't find that it was counted, but um, and we tried to help her get the help that she needed. But what was most striking was how much information she thought she needed. And not thought she needed. She's an older black lady, like in South Georgia. Like this is how much information she's been bringing every single time to vote, right? Like, uh, and that tells you so much about what uh, about the harms of being the harms that community has suffered, right? The mis and disinformation that's been spread in that community around what civic engagement requires, um, and the higher overall kind of price of exercising that fundamental freedom in a lot of different communities. Still today, like people, um, we're at the point where we're celebrating long lines as like a example of enthusiasm, and we only see those long lines in certain communities, no matter how many people live in different areas. And so I think that especially, my bad, I need to move over. I'm moving out the camera. Especially as we are um, talking about voting, talking about disinformation. This is something that our community has always dealt with, right? We've always had to deal with folks misrepresenting our identity, misrepresenting our power, pushing uh, pushing claims that fundamentally, aren't true, and that's why, you know, places, organizations like Onyx Impact are important. That's why, you know, making sure that we celebrate Black culture in all of its forms, including sneakers, is important today, because they're at the end of the day, they're types of resilience, they're type um, of power.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I feel like voter suppression in the black community is kind of like the OG of disinformation, right? I mean, it goes all the way back to, civil rights era and before then, right? I mean, we can talk about counting jelly beans and talk about readers tests and all these things that are, reading these things to make people vote, voter ID, all these things. But I feel like now, like I said, that's like the OG, Web 1.0 version of this misinformation to black folks. But now we live in this kind of completely different era now where it's not just voter suppression, although that's a part of it, but it's also just misinforming people about vaccines, about things that can affect their health, things that can affect their pocketbooks and all these things. And I think that's kind of what Onyx and the Green Book is trying to do, right? Like it's kind of give us the tools to kind of go deeper and like be able to spot this stuff. Because again, it's we all know about. I mean, I think the vast majority of folks who are voters, right, they understand like there's voter suppression and there's that, but I think there's another layer to this that you're trying to help us kind of fight through. Can you talk a little more about like that kind of Web 2.0 version of this misinformation?
Yes, absolutely. And so, propaganda, to your point, that's not new, right? Lies are not new. Lying about Black history isn't isn't new. This is something that we've had to fight for forever, right? What is new is the internet and social media in particular, because we know, and we talk about often, disinformation works on everybody because our brains work in a similar way. And the more times that we hear something, the more likely we are to believe it's true. And the more likely we are to believe other people believe it's true as well. Repetition and amplification, those things equal truth for our brains. Um, if I told you the sky was green every single day, eventually you will be questioning the color of the sky, right? And so when you have social media that's able to put the same message, incorrect message in front of you 20 times a day, right? It's just never been easier to convince people of lies. It's never been easier to convince people, um, to manipulate people into believing things that fundamentally, aren't true. Um, and that's why when we have, canvases for truth telling, for um, resisting, for challenging those lies, um, it's so incredibly it's so incredibly important. Um, like, would it be bad if I moved this back to sneakers?
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Because it's not necessarily a segue, but I'm looked over and I'm like, you know what? This is exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
Um,
let's go.
some of my favorite, uh, most important sneakers that I have are my Jackie Robinson collection. I'm a Jackie Robinson scholar. The Jackie Robinson Foundation um, helped me go to college, right? And so I feel very strongly about the importance and the legacy of Jackie Robinson, and to see like what's happening right now with this attack on Black history, with uh, this attack our our history, right? This is about like what are they really trying to do? And we talk about this on the Digital Green Book, right? They're creating at the end of the day um, a false reality of white supremacy. They are forcing false anti-black propaganda into every aspect of our society, right? And if you can say it enough times, if you can push it enough times, then you can have people believe that it's true. And so, uh, you know, these Nike Dunks that came out a few years ago, the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the um, color barrier, are important, right? We all know that they tried to erase um, Jackie Robinson from federal websites, from the Department of
I
Defense
remember
website,
that.
right? But they can't erase what we know to be true. They can't erase, like, um if you look at this shoe, you could probably see here there's a famous quote from Jackie all around this shoe. I'm not concerned with your liking or disliking me,
Mm,
right? All I ask is that you respect me as a human being,
mm.
right? Um it's why I love it's another reason why I love these sneakers. I've got uh, the forces that came out the next year with the Change the World kind of laces, right?
Yeah,
Um, how are we uh, changing the world today? I think that these are the ones that came out last year, the Air Maxes, on Jackie Robinson Day. Like, you can erase Jackie Robinson from a federal website. Uh, you can't erase what he did for the Kansas City Monarchs. You can't um, erase the fact that he was Rookie of the Year in 1947. 1947's across, all of these shoes. You can't erase that he won MVP 2 years after that, right? He won MVP the year after he was a rookie. Um, he won a championship with the Brooklyn Dodgers, right? What you can do is try to alter our future understanding of the importance of Jackie Robinson, which is what they're trying to do, which is one of the reasons why it's so important that we have um, that we are telling our own stories, that we are in investing in our own history, that we are forcing uh, the real American history to be told.
Yes. Yes, I
I
love that,
also
and I
love,
love.
I also love my Jackie Robinsons,
No,
and
those are
my
fire. I was gonna ask you,
Cortezes are on their way.
I was gonna see if they still have those in the 13. I would like just go ahead.
No,
The last.
they're only in my size. They're exclusively
Are you?
um
I feel like you're just
in my
pulling my. I
size.
feel like this is misinformation right here. Like this is
No,
this is fake news. This is fake news.
I don't care what your size is. I don't have shoes that match that size. I only have shoes that match.
Listen, I think it's so important though that you make that connection between culture and our history, right? Because I mean, I think one of the biggest disinformation and misinformation campaigns that's ever been ran, the propaganda, is that black folks aren't Americans, right? Like I think the one of the things that they've done really well is to make us feel like the other, right? And they do that by trying to erase our history, trying to take us out of the history books and teach our children and teach children in general, that we didn't contribute to this, that we didn't really build this country. You say it all the time, and I just like always ring this bell, like black folks. You always say black folks built Twitter and social media and made them the juggernauts that they are. We also built this country, right? And I think one
Mhm.
of the biggest things that they've done now is make us feel like, well, this isn't our country. This isn't our history. Like American history, that's not. But there's Black history, and there's American history. No, Black history is American history, and vice versa. So I think it's amazing that you're making that connection, because even someone may think, oh, sneakers or whatever, like this. No, it's so important because, like you said, you cannot erase the culture. You cannot erase what Jackie Robinson and others like him have done for the culture of America in general, right? So I think that's super important. I mean, what are some ways, like, what are some tools that you think that are like, if folks click on the green book and they don't click on anything else, like where's the first thing they should kind of zero in on that will help them kind of understand, this lens, like and help them navigate it.
Yeah, we got cards all across the digital green book when you log in on digitalgreenbook.org, and one of the first ones is how to spot manipulation, how to spot social media manipulation. You know how we if you just know that the more negative your emotional reaction is to a post, the more likely it is to be um, bad or distorted information, right? You're gonna pause when you see um, uh, something particularly negative. You're going to when you know that 42% of online social traffic is bad bots, right? Creating fake news headlines, creating comment sections. Like, I don't know how many. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm better than anybody else. Like, I'm in the shade room comment section looking at what people are saying too, right? But 42% of online social traffic is not real. They're not real conversations, right? They are created to manufacture inauthentic realities. And so a lot of the divisiveness that you see, there's a reason that the divisiveness online does not reflect how we act in society, right? That's just not, it's not real. Divisiveness equals engagement, right? That's why we see so much more of that type of stuff. But we are not out in these streets popping red balloons back and forth. Like, that's not our trauma, right? That's not our lives. But we have to be able to spot, uh, to identify when we're being, emotionally manipulated, because we're just not meant to take in information the way that social media allows us to, or forces us to. And so, Those are the types of things that you'll learn. Well, on the digital green book, you also learn how to control your data. Like our data is so valuable. We are literally making billionaires, right? That's something that we've got to understand, to recognize, to push back on. We should not be giving our data away for free on all these apps, right? Uh, you know, I wish I probably should have brought this number, these numbers to this show or episode, but what is the cost of uh, your a Hulu account versus a ad free Hulu account, right? That's maybe a $7-8 difference per month. That's essentially the cost of your data, um, the cost of running something ad free, right? And if you take that monthly cost, right, across that's nearly at least $100. People estimate anywhere from 100 to $400 per app, right, across every single app that you have on your phone. That's how much money you're giving away if you're not turning off those settings. Uh, don't let them make money off of you without your consent. And so I think there's part of this we've got to demand accountability of these social media companies. We've got to take back our data. We've got to demand they pay us for our data, for our likeness. Um, and we've got to make sure that we understand again how we're being manipulated in this current digital jungle.
100%. I want to zoom in on something that you just said about like us creating these billionaires, creating these apps, making them into these big conglomerates that they are. And I think people don't realize that, like, even though Instagram may seem free or TikTok may seem free, like your like attention is the capital and the labor that they're using to make to buy ads and to monetize these platforms. And you always talk about like kind of us taking our power back and understanding our power. And I've been literally saying this for like I feel like forever now, but like we have so much power as a community, especially young folks. Like we have so much power, and I think we don't realize it. So when things happen, it's like, what are we going to do? Let's stand outside and protest. And this, but like what if we all just shut off our apps for a day? Like how much would that break the backs of Meta or TikTok or whatever? Like talk about that. Talk about, what can we do to kind of take our power back? Obviously, it's the, learn first of all, understanding how to spot this stuff, right? Know what it is. But then what? Like what's kind of like once we understand it, then how do we then like take action to make sure we're not going to continue to be manipulated?
Yeah, absolutely. First, give me one quick second because one of my lights shut off. Let me just figure out what
Oh,
happened.
I got you.
It shouldn't be a smell of fire, right? That's usually bad. I'm guessing. It's
That
fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
yeah.
about it. Who among us hasn't um look at that. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Wait a minute. If you're
Um
smelling fire, I think we need to
First of all,
episode canceled.
you're not an electrician. Uh I said it's fine. My sneaker, the my light shut off in this first episode here because my sneakers were generating entirely too
So
much
much
heat.
heat.
That's what
Yeah,
was happening.
yeah,
And given that Michael, you are not an electrician,
yes,
uh, I think that we can both agree that what actually happened here is the Chicago Museum of Contemporary Art, Virgil Abloh,
yes, yes.
actually caused one of my lights to go out because it was so fire. Right? This
Okay,
is
that is fire. That is fire. I
straight
have to
art.
ask you. So I know you. I know, and I think that is first of all, that's like one of the most beautiful shoes I've ever seen in my life.
One of the most beautiful shoes, right?
But
Deconstructed top, like, come on now.
but if you have to choose, and listen, let's forget who the creator is, right? But the Red Octobers or those, because I want to hear your thoughts first before I speak.
I gotta go. I gotta go with this.
That's what we
I think
doing.
these.
That's what we
I
doing.
think these. Well.
The Red October set everything off, though. Like that was like the set off for
Why? When did you decide to ask me this question?
literally just now,
Like,
like right now.
like, okay. So, hold on. No. Yes. Yes. I'm confident. I'm actually confident. I'm confident. I'm confident. I'm confident that I'm taking these.
You're taking those over Red October.
I'm taking these over the Red Octobers because of their limited. We got a couple things. One, uh, a Midwest artist. Did Virgil do the Red Octobers?
Kanye's from the. I mean, right.
But that's not his line. That's not his line.
But
Okay.
Jay is from Chicago, the
Jay is
Midwest.
from Chicago. We do have the Midwest. Look, here at the end of the day, these are prettier.
They are pretty. They are prettier.
No, 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 not pretty. Prettier. They're prettier than the
They're
Red
prettier.
Octobers.
I don't think the Red Octobers are pretty though. These are just like these are fire. I'm looking at a picture of them on my screen because I can never afford. Let me see, $58,434. I'm not gonna do
Right.
that.
But
That's
here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Look, they're a fire shoe. I'm pulling them up right now. Okay, look at the look. It's got
sure.
incredible detail, right? Um, oof, just incredible detail. But at the end of the day, I'm not wearing an ugly shoe. I'm not calling the Red Octobers ugly.
Those are not ugly. Those are not ugly. But it's a toss up for me because I'm like those are amazing. But I'm also like I love red. I love the color red, so I might be a little bit biased. And those are like these are OGs, but those are
Those are kind
fire.
of hitting you. Those are kind of like smacking you with the red, right? They're smacking you
Correct.
with the red. It's also very. It's more of a. Um. It's a more of a, no offense, a more of a manly shoe. Like a very. It's like it's giving testosterone, which is fine, I guess. But again, I'm going
Yeah.
with.
Okay.
But you can't go wrong. We're talking about a once in a generation artist. Virgil Abloh is the one I'm referring to,
Yeah.
not the other.
Rest in peace to
But
Virgil. Virgil changed. Talk about changing the culture like that. He definitely shifted the culture. I mean, and we talk about. I mean, we can do a whole episode on the shift from with high fashion and streetwear and how that's like now the new norm. One of the other myriad of ways that Black culture has impacted all of American culture, and
100%.
now you
Look
have
at
so
Louis Vuitton. Look at the. I don't know when this episode is dropping, but the Met Gala tonight.
yep,
Uh, all exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
I'm gonna go with the shoe that's prettier though.
I got you. We're gonna put a poll up when this drops and see what does the
No, because that's not fair. That's not fair because the poll. I
you're saying the polls
am not.
are fake news.
I'm not saying I'm well. Polls are one, a snapshot in time, and two, you need to have a an audience that's reflective of the community you're trying to poll. Now, if we only poll sneakerheads, I feel like I might lose. But if we want to pull overall Black communities, I feel like I'd have a better shot of at least winning, in because that will become the more correct answer.
So you're saying this was like a CNN snapshot poll after a debate, right? Because only the people watching
Yeah,
CNN clearly are going to go for a certain
exactly,
person.
exactly,
You want a
exactly,
Gallup
exactly.
poll? Got it. Okay, fine. Let's see if we can commission
New
that.
sneakerheads like the Red Octobers or the Chicago Museum of Contemporary. That's not fair, right? That's not
It's not
fair.
fair. You're right. It's not fair. It's not fair.
And also, we know which one is true.
We, yeah, yeah. Well, I wanted to think of a clever way to segue into this, but I can't because I'm off of like 1 hour of sleep. So I want to know what is our favorite? And I know, like, listen, first of all, before I say, I want to put a disclaimer out there because mis and disinformation is not a joke. It's not a game, and it can be harmful. But there's a moment in time where we can like also be have fun with it, right? I mean, who doesn't love a good conspiracy theory, right? That's harmful, that's harmless. I mean, you have your Bigfoot, you have your moon landings, you have your red, blue or gold dress. Remember that? Um,
Mm.
so what is, again, you being you know, the zealot of combating this mis and disinformation, but do you have a favorite conspiracy theory that you will just not let go of? Like, listen, I know Bigfoot exists. I don't have no evidence of it. I know everyone says it's not true, but I'm just gonna, that's not me. I'm just saying, is there anything like that that you like you're not letting go of?
This is definitely, you're asking um you're asking me, an information expert that runs and found an organization to fight mis and disinformation, if there are conspiracies that I believe in. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um Now, the definition of, I'm not going to bring it up now, but you know what? That's actually not going to be helpful for me to go down what the definition of conspiracy is, and it's not. That's going to get me. Um, so what would I say? Uh, all right, you ready? I think I
I'm
have
ready.
one. I think I have one. I'm gonna need.
No, we're using this, all of it, all of it. No, I was
Now I don't. Now,
kidding.
what is going to be my look? Are there conspiracies that are likely to be true? Yes. Um, One of those being that I believe there was a NBA wide conspiracy to um, prevent LeBron James from winning Defensive Player of the Year in 2013. And that is the fact that LeBron James, has never won a Defensive Player of the Year award, especially considering his prime, is absurd, right? And the year that they gave it to Mark Gasol.
Which is nuts.
They gave it to Mark Gasol. Again, great player, fine. That man was on second team all defense. How many times does somebody on second team all defense win Defensive Player of the Year unless there's a conspiracy? There's a whole nother team of people that are better defenders than you. It's called first team, all defense. And still, and this was peak, right? LeBron hate.
Mhm.
And
This is
I
after the
think
move to Miami, right? This is after he took his ball or the talents to South Beach.
pause. I mean, there's no excuse. I think it's one of those situations where if you were to go back, now that everybody, now that we know, and you were to go back and poll every single one of those people, I bet you he would be a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year award recipient. But it is about um, this is why hate, divisiveness, and fear can spread disinformation, and that's exactly what happened in 2013, and that's why the greatest player of all time has never won a Defensive Player of the Year award.
Which is nuts. And I think, yeah, I think you're right because that during that time it was I mean, it was I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had my moments of LeBron hate just because I was, Golden State Warriors fan, so I hated him all during that run. But overall, you can't deny that he's the GOAT. You can't, of this generation, he's the GOAT, and you can't deny what he does defensively. And I think it's the same thing we're seeing with Shador Sanders, right? It's like because we don't like something that we don't like something about you or your dad or whatever, we're gonna just go ahead and you know, teach you a lesson. I think that's what the league was trying to do to LeBron. I'm kind of with you on that. I kind of have to second that. That it definitely probably was some kind of conspiracy to make sure that he didn't get that. But
Now,
he got
now, it's like, don't get me wrong. I hear you on Shador Sanders and agree, but we're also just want to make sure we're talking about like one of the greatest seasons of basketball
no
ever played. So
one of one of
one of,
one of
not the, obviously not the. Uh, there's probably one or two better for LeBron,
like
but I'm just saying
the '96 Bulls.
you are using, a tactic of distraction and emotional manipulation to
This is
try to
what
get me off off track here. I'm not going to
I'm trying to
fall
model
for
what the
the
oppressor
clickbait.
has been doing to us.
I'm not falling for the clickbait. Exactly. You you oppressor you.
Yeah, I'm just very oppressory of me. Very oppressory. I'm gonna get this shirt. Very oppressory. Um, that's a good conspiracy. I'm gonna tell you, my conspiracy is that, and I don't care, but Tupac is still alive. I know he is. I've been seeing all the AI generated videos. I think at least one of those is really Tupac. Tupac is still in Cuba. He has, you know, he's like a refugee somewhere, or he has asylum somewhere, and Tupac is not. Tupac is still with us. He has like locks
He's
and
on.
something.
You think he's on an island?
He's
It
definitely on an island for sure, 100%.
is it. Do you
Now,
think it's a well inhabited island?
I think he's in a place. It's like he's hiding in plain sight, like Bin Laden. You remember, like Bin Laden was like right there, where everyone like, oh, how do we miss this? He's somewhere, and he's being highly guarded. That's just what I believe. I can't say it's true, but it's just I know. Can't say it's a fact, but I know it's true.
Is he in the mainland United States?
No, 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 no. He's like in Cuba or like some. He's probably in like Micronesia or somewhere, some like remote place, hiding in plain sight. I really believe this. Now, I
Where is Micronesia? Where is
Micronesia.
where where is Tupac located? The Northwestern Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, it's
So
like right. It's like right under Australia, or like right by Australia somewhere.
right, yeah, right above Australia. So you think Tupac is just chilling in Indonesia esque
Yeah,
waters?
living life.
I can see that being the case.
I think it's true. There was a part of me when I was like 11, 12 years old. I was like, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. The 7 Day Theory. I did all my research, and after 7 years, when he didn't come back, I was like, oh, maybe he's really not with us. Now I don't know. All these videos are now coming around. I know there's like AI and stuff, but there's a part of me that just really wants it to be true, even though I know it's probably not. But I'm gonna go with it. Fuck it. Tupac is still alive. That's my theory. My conspiracy theory. I'm not letting go of. Not letting go of it. Not letting go of it.
We
None.
just we need one more. Dominique, can you come on real quick? Okay. I just look. Given we're talking about three conspiracy theorists walk into a bar, is that a coincidence?
Now, what kind of bar? Is it a hookah bar or is it regular?
They walked into the bar and said, "Ouch."
Dom, help me, man.
Did you get it? Do you? Because
No. Oh! They walked into a
they
bar.
walked. I switched up. What I did there was I switched the pun up mid pun. I switched it into a whole nother, whole nother thing.
We want to thank you all for joining season one and the season finale
Wait,
of the
I didn't
series
even really get
finale
to.
of Kicks and Clickbait. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Sosa.
Okay, all right, Dominique. Here's one of my favorite. What do you call a dog magician? Don't worry, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. A labracadabrador.
Let me see. Going on camera. We're gonna have a segment going forward called Sosa's dad jokes because that's
Dad jokes are they're the energy, they're the life energy, life
listen.
force that keeps the world going.
I I'm not a dad yet, but I don't think I'm gonna be anytime soon. But I'm
That
a
you know
big
of.
well, no, I think we know that I'm a big proponent of. I'm a big proponent of dad jokes. I'm a big proponent of dad jokes. They are the like you said, Don. They're the glue that keeps us together. Yep, yep.
You know, when you I had another one that
No, go ahead, please. Let's go. Let's go. We're going.
I was just thinking you were saying you don't have a kid yet, but I'm sure you're eventually gonna get married and there's I just don't be like um you've got to be like a melon, right? That makes sense.
I give like a melon. What does that mean?
'Cause you have to have a wedding,
Sure.
right? And melons always have to have weddings, right?
Wait.
Doesn't this make sense? They all melons always have to have weddings, Michael, because they can't elope.
God damn it. God damn it.
Do you see how I brought you that I
You
brought you
walk
all the way
like you
there?
walked me so like you had literally you were holding my hand the whole entire time. I just I have man brain. That's the problem. I have man brain. Like if it's not football or like ground beef, I don't really process it. So
Football or ground beef?
Or beer. Actually, I don't like beer. I actually don't like beer. Is that gonna take my masculine points away? Not
I
a big
don't
beer.
at this point. I don't know because I feel like the masculine test you've put forward is a cry for help.
If you don't like ground beef, burgers, football, burgers, ground steak. Okay, moving on. Segment number three.
Oh, we got a whole nother segment. All
No,
right, let's
still
go.
more segments. Still more segments.
What's this segment? What's this segment called? Puns?
Puns. Um, this is the misinformation. I think we've been talking about this anyway. Clickbait. We've been talking. I think that's what we're. I just did it to you a few minutes ago. So it's like I tried to bait you in with my oppressory
Mhm.
tactics, and it worked for a minute, and then you caught on. So, um, because there's a lot of people that's going to be logging on to this for first. Well, hopefully, if you stayed with us this whole time, first of all, viewer, we thank you because like you really like God bless you. Like you're a different type of person. Uh, but if you're just logging on for the first time and you don't know anything about misinformation, disinformation, so can you explain to the people what is the difference between misinformation and disinformation?
Yes, absolutely. Misinformation, y'all. Misinformation is simply any incorrect information, any incorrect fact. Um, uh, we try to think of misinformation as not being intentional, whereas disinformation requires intent. Disinformation is lies with the intent to lie. And so if someone is actively out there saying that LeBron James did not deserve to win Defensive Player of the Year in 2013, um, they are obviously spreading disinformation. Those are the two um, uh, different types of lies. There's a third one called malinformation, right? That's uh, information that has a kernel of truth or is true that's being spread with the intent to harm. So when if somebody is spreading hack materials, or if somebody is putting your personal identifying information online to try to harm you, those are different types of malinformation.
Yes, yes. Um, okay, what I want to because this is we're gonna edit this all together,
Oh
but I
yeah.
have to know. I want to segue out of what take a detour, I should say, because we know you also love basketball, right? You talked about that at the top. So I have to ask you about your thoughts on this season. LeBron being eliminated out of the first round was the Luca was that pick was it the right thing to do in hindsight?
This is what you're gonna bring up? You're gonna bring this up right now?
I want to bring it up. Yes. Listen,
Yeah.
I live in LA. You see my hat, right? Like, I'm a Lakers. First of all, let's just establish something. I'm from the Bay Area, right? I'm born and raised in Oakland, California. So I'm a Warriors fan. But I moved to LA. I actually been a Lakers fan before I was a Warriors fan because of Kobe. So Lakers fan. I'm a LeBron fan after we got past the whole Warriors Cavaliers saga. I'm a LeBron fan. I'm a fan of the man. So I want to see him win and see him do well. I want to see him get one more real championship before he hangs up his jersey. So I'm on your side of this probably, but I just want to know, what do you think? Was that a smart move to get rid of AD and get Luca in so that we get eliminated in the first round?
So we have as our co-host a um, Warriors Lakers fan. How authentic and difficult for you? Um,
It's hard. It's hard right now.
but do I believe? Look, again, another I another conspiracy. that I believe in, I guess, is that we don't know. There's no way we know everything about the Luka trade. There's absolutely no way. Did the Lakers do the right thing? Absolutely. I love it. I love AD. I love Anthony Davis. I think he's a wonderful player. I think he is um, highly, even still underrated, especially as a defender. And it doesn't matter when you're talking about Luka Doncic. Like, it doesn't matter when you're talking about Luka Doncic, right? You're talking about a potential top three player at any time in the season. You're talking about um, like they traded Luka Doncic. Supposedly, because old boy was out of shape.
Yes.
They traded the boy that led the league in minutes last season because he was out of shape. They they traded the dude that led the league in points or the playoffs in points, assists, rebound. They that led the playoffs in everything. They traded him. That went to the finals last year. Last year was not that long ago. Michael, I don't know if you know how long last year was, but it was actually not that long ago.
I think it was the year before this one.
I think so too. That was how long they traded the guy that went to how old he's like what 25, 24.
Let me see how old he look good.
He's a child. I don't care if Luka Doncic was
26.
eating a tub of lard after every single game and smoking cigarettes
No.
in game.
Not in the game.
I don't care. There is no reason at all to trade that caliber of a player. So it is either somebody fed um I'm not even gonna say his name because I feel bad for him. Somebody fed that man disinformation, and that's why he made the trade. Or
Mm.
we're being fed something like nothing is making sense. It's either we don't know the whole story. Now this is the topic that would turn me into a conspiracy theorist. Uh, Either we don't know the whole story, or it's the worst trade ever in history. I don't really care where the Lakers went this year. It don't matter.
I'm,
They haven't made any other trades for Luca.
I mean, but if he's out of shape, right? I mean, that could have
I
been the
don't care.
difference. No, but I feel like it's like the Zion effect, right? Because I mean, Zion.
Whoa.
I'm not comparing Luca to Zion as far as ability, but I think as far as expectation, and I think Luca could have did a little better to get itself in that tip top shape. And I think that could, I mean, to get, he was the other piece. He was the other piece. And for them to get eliminated in the first round,
They don't even have they haven't even they have one of the best players for the next 10 years on their team. Point blank. And they didn't actually get to make another trade. Like they haven't built a team around Luka Doncic yet. So we don't even who really cares what happened this year? Like they have as long as they can keep Luka, the Lakers are Gucci. Like what everyone should I mean, the
yeah,
chances of them getting this caliber of a player, but it doesn't sure, Luka could have lost some weight this year, and maybe that would have made the difference. Maybe the homie didn't need to try to embarrass Rudy Gobert on every single play for an entire series. Maybe that would have also helped.
that would have definitely made a difference.
Either way,
That would have made a difference.
I'm not, if you're going to average 30 in the playoffs, I'm going to let you do what you want. I'm going
We'll
to
see.
assume that we can fix whatever is happening.
I think so. I mean, um, am I getting the cane? Oh, I thought the cane was being pulled on me. We'll close this segment out by saying, but I guess with another conspiracy or theory, conspiracy theory, is LeBron going to retire after this year? I think so. I think he has one more. I think he's going to go one more run, and I think he's going to hang his jersey up. That's what I think. But what do you think?
I think we've
And
officially
it's going to end it with the Lakers, or is he going to go back to the Cavs?
I think we have entered the realm of conversations that I'm not ready or willing to have. Um, my brain actually does not compute
LeBron
conversations
not playing
about
basketball.
LeBron's retirement. I don't.
I'm with you.
Um, I'm not sure that reality works for me, and so I'm ignoring the possibility of it ever happening.
Listen, if I'm with you, because if it ever happens, I'm definitely gonna cry. Like man
I'm gonna cry every
tears.
single day. I'll cry every single day.
Like man, like I yeah, like I'm gonna cry just because 20 years has been like understand. I never saw. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I never saw Michael Jordan play. Right, I'm named after Michael Jordan. Never saw Michael Jordan play. Never got to see Kobe play. Never got to see Iverson play. But I've had the opportunity. I've seen LeBron.
Michael J.
That's what the J stands for. Yep. Yep.
Get
hmm Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Minus the ability, the athleticism.
same thing. I could have been in the WNBA. I if the only things that kept me out of the WNBA were the skills, the talent, the height.
That's
Like
you kind of need
other than
those.
that,
So
other than that,
yeah, yeah. You know, they need. Listen, I could have been a water boy, but I don't know if that would have made my mama proud. So I don't know. Um, Listen, I will say that I have a decent jump shot. It's just everything else because I'm like a big dude. I can't do. It's like everything else I suck at. Like so, I'm like I could stand under the rim. I could definitely get rebounds and I could definitely shoot. But if no one like was guarding me or nothing like that, yeah,
if no one was guarding me, I could just
like, if there was no one else on the court at all, I could shoot. But
yeah.
unfortunately, the NBA has these things called rules, and
hmm
so whatever. The NBA, we
Look,
don't need you.
I was when I played, I was one of the best people in our league at blocks and technical fouls.
There you go. You said technical fouls. So, so, yeah, Sosa Green. I think I see. Listen, I can see you definitely doing some text, getting a bunch of texts. And how many
No, no,
times
no.
have you
It
texted?
wasn't. It wasn't for those types of antics. It was more so. We're talking about truth, right? And what was the truth of the play? And it was a lot more about me not even explaining to the ref, but explaining to whoever was right next to the ref why I disagreed with whatever the call was according to the rules.
The rules, those damn rules. Were you ever ejected from a game? Well, I should say, how many times were you ejected from the game?
Wow, 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 wow. Um, I don't think I ever got. Maybe I did. I don't believe I ever got ejected. What they gonna do? What? I was a point guard. Okay, I'm not. I was not about to lose my life. based
I
off of some type of disagreement. Like, nah,
I
nah. I'm gonna make I'm
what
gonna I'm gonna make up I'm gonna make up with you real fast if I
no, no, I'm your friend. I'm your friend. I was almost ejected from a game as a fan.
Same. What's your ejection story?
So I'm sitting courtside at the LA Sparks game. It's the Sparks and the Aces, and this Aces. So I
I'm
got
so
courtside.
confused. Wait, you almost got ejected from a Sparks Aces game. How many years ago was this?
This is like a year or so, maybe 2 years ago now.
So this was essentially right now. Like
This
right
is like right
now
now. This is right.
at your
So I
current maturity level. Your current maturity level.
so let's get this record. So I and was saying I'm a saint. I'm respectful, but I made the mistake. I got the courtside ticket.
Obviously that's not true because we already know the end of the story.
Listen,
But keep
the,
going. Yes,
the
100% same.
courtside. See, in the away team's area. So I'm like sitting. It's me and Becky Hammond, the head coach, Becky Hammond, sitting like we're like knee to knee. And so of course I'm in enemy territory. So every time they get the Aces get makes the wrong play or something goes on with the ref and I'm or whatever, I'm like, come on, come on. And so the whole time Becky Hammond is doing this to me. She's like, you like that? You like that? Oh, so we're trash talking each other back and forth on this, and it's. I mean, so I buried the lead, so I didn't almost get ejected, but we were getting like really heated. It was like to a point where it was all in fun, but it was just like she was kind of testing me a little bit, and I was like, and the Aces were I'm trying to remember which game, what happened, but a foul or something happened, and we were talking so much smack to each other that and I guess the Aces were getting like, the Sparks were getting like calls in their favor, or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, the refs are in their pocket," and we're going back and forth. So at the end of the
Now you about
game,
to get Becky Hammond fined. Like just halfway through your story.
at the end of the
My
game, at the end of the game, they won. The Aces came back and won because they're the Aces, right? They're like the greatest team in WNBA right now. So she just hits me with her. She like not hits me like, but playfully with her scoreboard or her play board. She's like she's like, yeah, how you like that? And just gets up and leaves. And I'm like, I want to say something, but I know if I do, I'll get fined. And I think it was on ESPN, so I can't do anything because I'll be
we gonna talk.
publicly
Look,
shamed.
so
It's bad.
you
I wasn't
weren't
necessarily
kicked
gonna get ejected, but I felt like we were getting so hot and heated that it was like it could have escalated to that
out.
level because it was a lot of calls. But like I'm not gonna lie, the refs were kind of like missing a lot of calls for the Aces, and I'm like, and I'm a Sparks fan, I love it, but like I also want to see a fair game too. So she was getting frustrated, and I was like, yeah, So when they came back and beat and kicked our ass, she was like, yeah, how you like that? And just kind of gave me the dirtiest look. And I don't think I've been back. I think I've been shadow banned from the crypto arena.
That makes sense. That
But
makes
I'm
sense.
sure your story is actually a lot more like. So how did you almost get ejected as a fan?
This is when I um this is when I was working in New York. I was at MSG. I almost got kicked out of MSG.
How you get
Uh
kicked out of almost get kicked out of the garden?
and it was like the Heat or something. I was there watching. It was a LeBron game. It was playing the Knicks, and it was a very one. I'm obviously rooting for LeBron, right? Grew up in Ohio. I'm a LeBron fan forever. So not only was I rooting every time they scored, this was also not the Knicks' best season. it was like, I don't know if it was one of the paper bag over the head seasons, but it was like a really, really bad season. And I think
Isn't that
they
every
must
season?
have, I know. Hey, look, they must have airballed like, I'm not kidding, like 4 or 5 3-point shots in a row. And I don't remember what I said. I must have, like, I was like, you've got to be effing kidding me. These like, I was actually just disgusted. I was like disgusted. And then I get this tap on my shoulder, and this usher at MSNBC or MSNBC. This usher, sorry, we can cut that out. This
Breaking
usher
news.
at
Apparently, Ahsoka was on MSNBC, and
no,
Usher
no, no,
came
no.
in, touched her shoulder,
This
and
usher at
her song.
MSG, this usher at MSG issues me this warning. I even took a photo of it for posterity, and I'll read it to you. Um,
Read it for our listening audience.
yes, for the listening audience. Um, you are being issued a warning that the comments, gestures, and or behaviors that you have directed at players, coaches, game officials, and or spectators constitute excessive verbal abuse and are in violation of the NBA fan code of conduct. This is only halfway through. Now, mind you, I'm with a bunch of my coworkers, colleagues, a bunch of dudes who are over my shoulder reading all of this, dying of laughter, right? Dying of laughter. This is the first and only warning that you will receive. First of all, I'm also the only black person in this whole group of people.
Yeah, bad.
So I'm just upset. If after receiving this warning, you verbally abuse any player, coach, game official, or spectator, they can't hear me.
Where were you
I
sitting?
said the F
Where were
word.
you sitting? Where were you?
Uh, don't worry about that. I had good seats. Don't worry about that. Uh, but again, I said the F word. It's not like after they missed like they airballed like 4 threes. Come on. You will be immediately ejected from the arena without refund and subject to arrest and prosecution. Again, my whole team howling with laughter. And I'm like, you need to eject the players that just airball 4 or 5 shots.
That is crazy.
I think what was really bad was that I had been cheering before that. That's what got the usher
That's
upset.
yes, yes.
But I'm like, you really just gonna hand this to
And by the
me?
way, this is New York City. Like, I think the F bomb was invented in New York City. Actually, like I looked that up. Right, I think it was pizza and the F bomb are New York City's like mascots. Like, come on, how you?
But
What?
still, um,
That's so your story is far like mine's is like nothing because I didn't. We were me and Becky
it's
were like
called injustice.
you were yeah.
Injustice and disinformation is what
That's
happened. I was,
good lord.
ask anybody from my old team that was there. That was not called for.
So this has been episode 1 of Kicks and Clickbait. Asosa, let us know about how we can find you on social media and as well as the digital green book and all that stuff.
Yes, please. The Digital Green Book, check it out, digitalgreenbook.org. Check out Onyx Impact across all your socials at the Onyx Impact. Again, it's the Onyx Impact, and you can find us everywhere. So please, please, please check us out. Check out the Digital Green Book, and um, you know, let's fight this information war together.
Let's do it. And we'll be back next week for, we promise, a more organized
100%, slightly.
conversation. Slightly more, slightly more. Thank you, Asosa, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see y'all next week.